let's take a look at the Rambam for a few minutes. The Rambam ties into exactly what we were talking about. And this is Perek Gimel and Hilchos Teshuvah. Every person has zuchuyas, has merits, and he has sins. You notice the Rambam doesn't say every person has mitzvos and sins. The Rambam says every person has merits and sins. Again, the Rambam doesn't use mitzvahs, he uses merits. A person who has more merits than sins is a tzaddik. The Rambam is getting this from the famous Gemara in Rosh Hashanah, where the Gemara says there are 3 books open in Rosh Hashanah. If a person has more mitzvahs, a tzaddik, more averis, he's a rasha. A beinani, he's in the middle, then he needs aseres he made teshuvah to do teshuvah, and Yom Kippur he gets the gezar din. That's the basic concept that we're dealing with. There are many Rishonim that learn the Gemara differently because it simply, on a most superficial level, seems not to make sense. How do you have a person that's, he has more sins than Averis? Well, at what point in the day? This can fluctuate every second of the day. He has more sins than Averis, and 5 minutes later he talks Lashon Hara. He has more Averis than sins. And then he does a tremendous Gemilas Chesed. He has more mitzvahs than sins. And this fluctuates back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. At what time do we say he's a tzaddik? And in terms of Yom Kippur, when on Yom Kippur do we designate the time? In the middle of Yom Kippur, he has more Averis than mitzvah. And then he davens with unbelievable kavanah, mincha, and now he has more mitzvahs than Averis. And unfortunately, during Ne'ilah, he insulted someone. Now he has more Averis than mitzvahs. And then at the end of Ne'ilah, he apologizes to the person, and now he has more mitzvahs than Averis. How does this thing work? Every second of the day, a person is tzaddik Rosh, and he's a tzaddik and he's a Rosh. Okay, so a lot of Rishonim don't learn the Gemara like this. But in the superficial, standard interpretation of the Gemara, there are 3 books that are open. We say someone who has, there are 2 scales. If the scale of mitzvahs is more than the scale of Averis, tzaddik. The scale of Averis more than the scale of mitzvahs, rasha. If the scales are perfectly equal, which is hard to imagine, but if the scale is perfectly equal, then you're a beinani, and then you have to do teshuvah between Rosh Hashanah and Kippur. So that's what the Rambam says. Kol echad ve'echad ne'er odem yeshes chiyas v'avoynos. Misha zechuyosav yiseres al avoynosav tzaddik. More zechuyas than Averis, tzaddik. Misha avanoisav yiseres al zechuyosav. You have more sins than zechuyas, rasha. Mechza lemechza. Right in the middle, equal balance on the scales, beinani, you're in the middle. Now, we always think about this as an individual. Now the Rambam is going to say that this is true much more than an individual. V'chein haMedina, a country. If in a you have a whole country. So the Rebbeinu Shalom is looking at a lot of things. First, the individual. More mitzvahs or more averis. Second, let's look at the whole country. We put all the people in the country together. Are there more mitzvahs in this country or more averis in this country? If the merits of all the people that live in the country are more than the sins, this is a country that can be called a righteous country. If the sins of the country are more than the merits, it's an evil country. Now there's a third level. After God judged the individual, more merit or more averis. Then this individual becomes part of a country, more merit or more averis for the whole country. And now this country is part of the whole world. The whole world, is there more merit or more averis? Now we're not going to, there's a Lechem Mishnah here, which is not in this print of the Rambam. The Lechem Mishnah goes through how these 3 things intersect. What happens if a person has more merit and less averis, but he happens to live in a country that when you put it all together, there are more averis than merit. Or go even further. A person has more merit than averis. He lives in a country that has more merit than averis, but his country is in this world, and this world is more Averis than merit. What is the din? There's a Lechem Mishnah here, but what Rambam is emphasizing here is this that we think about on an individual level. On Rosh Hashanah, the 3 books have opened, more merit, more Averis, is not just true of an individual. It's the individual, the country, and the world. Beis. A person who turns the scales and he has more Averis than merit, he will die that second. So this raises the issue we said before, what moment? But the Rambam seems to be saying the moment the scale tips and there's more Averis to this person than merit, that moment the person dies, gone. Well, what happened to Teshuvah? This, we're just reading the Rambam. Shenema, the Pasuk says, Harov Avonech. V'chein Medina, a country, Shavleiseh Merubin, the moment the country tips the scale, and it has more Averis than merit, Miyad hi Averis. Immediately that country will be destroyed. Shenema, the Rambam says, we've seen this in history. Zaka Sidoim V'Amoira Kirava. The Rebbeinu Shalom said in the Torah that the shouts of the evil that were being done in Sidoim and Amoira became so great that I'm destroying the whole place. And then Avram prayed, etc., but the Rebbeinu Shalom destroyed it. What happened there? The Rebbeinu Shalom says, Zaka Sidoim V'Amoira Kirava. It's gotten too much already. So Sodom and Amorah came to the point where the scale tipped to the evil more than the merit, the whole place had to be destroyed. The Rambam says this proves my point. If there's a point in time where the evil overpowers the merit, the country is destroyed. The same thing can happen to the world. The moment the Rebbeinu Shalom's cheshbon shows that there's more sin than merit to the world will be destroyed. Shenema, we have a historical lesson. What happened at the Mabul? There was a moment where Rebbeinu Shalom said, over, Noach, your family can be saved, everything else gets destroyed. So the Rambam brings examples. The moment the scale is tipped, evil over Zuchus, the person dies. Evil over the Zuchus in a whole country, the country is destroyed like Sodom and Amorah. Evil over merit for the whole world, the world will be destroyed, like the Dor HaMabul. V'shikol zeh, but measuring the scales, it's not based upon how many merits does a person have, or a country or the world, and how many sins. There's a bigger picture here. How big is the mitzvah? How big is the avera? There can be a mitzvah. Person ate matzah on Pesach. No, so he ate matzah on Pesach. But it could be he ate matzah on Pesach because he baked the matzah, in the concentration camp during the Holocaust. And what he did to get some flour, and what he did to get an oven, and what he did to eat that matzah. So it's eating matzah. But this eating matzah can be on the scale. You can't imagine how heavy that eating matzah is. On the other hand, a person can do an aveira, and the circumstance under which he did the aveira, it could be a terrible aveira, but it's not going to put as much weight on the aveira side as you would think because of the circumstance around the aveira. And who's going to measure all this? Not me or you. Only God can measure this. There's such a thing as a merit that can overpower many sins. The Rambam quotes the Pasuk. Sometimes only one thing can be found, a good thing in a person. And there can be a sin that can overpower many merits. Shenema, the Pasuk says, one sin can eviscerate many good things. Nobody can do this measuring except God, the Chaldeans. He's the only one that knows how to do this measuring. Let's take a look very quickly. We'll end with this today. It's on page 11. The Ravid at the bottom of the page on the right-hand side, the Ravid has a hasaga. He's going to make a comment on what the Rambam just said. The Rambam said, and this is the point I was making when learning the Ramchal, that Hastoras Panim we say, what do you mean? If I choose guf, a person chooses guf, he's going to get hastar spun, he's going to get darkness. I see a lot of people who've made bad choices the way I see it. They do terrible things with women, they do terrible things with money, they're evil, and they're living nice lives. Where's the hastar spun coming into their life? And the Rambam just told me that when a person's scale tips evil over merit, boom, he dies right away. Well, I think I see a lot of people where their averas tip the scales and they should drop dead right away. Why aren't they dead? According to the Rambam. And the Ravid asks this question on the Rambam. Amar Avram, loy k'may shu soive, shekshe'amar rishon nechtom alta lamisa shemiyad meisen. It's not what the Rambam thinks. When the Gemara Rosh Hashanah says 3 books that are open, and someone that's a Rasha gets sealed right away to death, it doesn't mean he dies that second. That's what the Rambam said. It's not like that, because we see it's not like that, the Ravid says. We see a lot of very evil people live long lives. So what's the Rambam talking about? As soon as you tip the scale, you're dead. I see a lot of people, the Ravid says, who I believe tip the scale, they're evil, and they're living. What the Gemara means, the Ravid says, doesn't mean that a person that's evil, he gets sealed for death. It doesn't mean that second he dies. It means that sometime in his life, he's going to die earlier than he would have died otherwise. He gets fewer years. He's born with a certain amount of years, and because he spent years in evil, he's going to have fewer years to live. The Ravid says, if you want to really understand the sugya about loyaleno, a person losing years or gaining years, the Yavamis Nun Amid Aleph. That's a sugya in Yavamis and Daf Nun Amid Aleph. So that's the Ravid's hasaga on the Rambam. The Rambam says, as soon as a person tips the scale of evil, he's dead. As soon as a country tips the scale of evil, it's destroyed. As soon as the world tips the scale of evil, it's destroyed like the Dar HaMabel. The Ravid says, hold on one second here. We see plenty of individuals that are evil, at least the Ravid's judging it that way. I see plenty of people that are evil and they're living. So the Gemara doesn't mean they die right away. It means they're going to die an earlier death. So what does the Rambam mean? So we don't have time to read the Kesef Mishnah, but on the left side, the Kesef Mishnah, who is the Beis Yosef, the Machaber the Shulchan Aruch, wrote a Kesef Mishnah on the Rambam. In most cases, it's to defend the Rambam against kashas on the Rambam. The Kesef Mishnah says he doesn't even understand the Ravid's kasha. And that's for the reasons we said during the Ramchal. Because I don't understand the Ravid's kasha. The Ravid says, I see a lot of people that are evil and they're living good lives. Didn't the Rambam tell us that no one knows how to balance these scales except for God? You as a human being may say, this guy is so evil, he mamish, I don't understand how he can be living. And the Ravid says, I don't understand how he can be living. So if he's living, it must mean that the Gemara doesn't mean he dies right away. It means the Gemara means that he's going to die earlier. And the Kesef Mishnah says, no. A person, once he tips the scales to evil, he will die right away, like the Rambam says. But how do you know he tipped the scales to evil? Because you think he's tipped the scales to evil? You Ravid look out and say, he tipped the scales to evil, he should be dead. Why isn't he dead? Must be the Rambam's wrong, that the person doesn't die right away. The Kesef Mishnah says, the Rambam told you that you can't judge this thing, because there could be one mitzvah that overpowers many averas. There could be an avera that overpowers many mitzvahs, and nobody does this, the Rambam says. Nobody knows how to do this balancing of scales except for God. So you, Ravid, can look at this person and say, this guy deserves to die. Why hasn't he died yet? Must be the Rambam is wrong. The Kesef Mishnah says, the Rambam's not wrong. How do you know he's supposed to die? Because you think he has more averas than merit? How do you know? Maybe he made matzah in a concentration camp, and that mitzvah overpowers all the averas that you think about. So the Rambam, the Kesef Mishnah says, is correct. We don't know what the value of a person's mitzvahs are. We don't know what the value of his averas are. Only the Ribbono Shalom knows this, and the Ribbono Shalom judges this, and therefore the Rambam remains correct. The Kesef Mishnah says, if in God's balancing a person tips that scale, such a person, Hashem, will immediately die. This is true for a country, and this is true for the world. All those here that need Yeshua shall have Yeshuas. All those here that need Refuah shall have Refuahs. All those here that need Nechama shall have Nechamas. All the here that need Baruch shall have Barachas. Yeshuas, Barachas, Nechamas, and Refuahs only come from the Bnei Shalom when He wants to come, when He wants to send them, how He wants to send them through the Shlich He wants to send. They cannot come any other way. And through that, we understand and develop in ourselves the emunah of Echad Yachlam Yuchad Gilui HaYichud. And through perfecting our imperfect selves, we help perfect the perfectly imperfect world. We see how responsible we are for the world. We learned today in Ramchal, bringing the Rambam, bringing light to yourself helps bring light to the world. Chas v'shalom, the opposite. So we bring the Gilui HaYichud to the world, and we help the whole world with it until Mashiach comes today and finishes the job for us in Her Yamein. Everybody, please take care of yourselves. Continue to do the things that you need to do, and not the things that you don't need to do. Make sure you remain healthy. Do the things that make sense. Don't do things that don't make sense. There are things that we love to do, but we simply can't do because we want to be able to finish Masechta Shkolim. And we want to be healthy to finish Masechta Shkolim. We want to be healthy to start other Masechtas and finish other Masechtas. We want to be healthy so that when Mashiach comes today, we're going to have the strength in our feet, in our voices, in our hands to clap and to dance. If Hashem was sick, we can't do those things. Mashiach, Rebbeinu Shalom wants healthy Yidden to be able to be B'simcha Rabbah, and we should be Zeicha to be as Mashiach Tkenu today. I hope everybody enjoyed today, specifically today's Mishnah, Perikei Mishnah Aleph. We got introduced to all those supervisors we learned about in Masechta Midos and Masechta Tamid. It's easy to remember. Perikei, Mishnah Aleph, Shkolim is my 15 supervisors, and of course on Zoom is our 16th Eliezer. So those are our supervisors. Everybody have a wonderful day. Sei gesund, Blineda. Tomorrow we'll talk about the meaning of MS, keeping your word, and how that's Negea Rosh Hashanah. Sei gesund.